papers now, should we? We'll start with the Independent on Sunday, shows an image of a destroyed tower block in Ukraine. The paper's leading with the invasion of Ukraine, calling the event destruction and defiance.
The Mirror says P&O Ferries has sunk to a new low. The paper reports that the company is trying to cut the wages of the cheap staff who replaced the sacked crews.
The Sunday People says Rishi Sunak's in hot water again. He's got plans for a new swimming pool in his North Yorkshire mansion, which could cost £13,000 a year to heat.
The Daily Mail, get back to office or face the sack. That's what the Mail on Sunday says. The paper says civil servants who refuse to return to Whitehall risk losing their jobs.
I'd love to know what you think about that one. Let's go through the papers now. Joining us this morning, broadcaster, legendary broadcaster, I should say. I need to squeeze that in.
And legend.
David Hamilton, the one and only. And former editor of the Daily Star, Dawn Neeson. Good morning,
Morning.
David, let's have a look at the Sunday Express, should we? And the Prime Minister is the leader Britain needs, so he says.
That's what Boris is saying this morning on the front page of the Express. I am the leader that Britain needs. A senior Tory MP has said that he will be out after May the 5th. And the question is Partygate going to finish him, or has the war saved him? And this is his big fight back, and the Express is right behind him, which is no surprise, is it really? If the Tories get rid of him, I think the question is, who do they have to take his place? And is it more important that he is a Churchillian leader on the international stage, or that the Partygate thing carries on? So there are two sides to the argument, aren't there?
Pretty chaotic going for a new leader when you haven't got an obvious contender for replacement.
Well, Putin would see a weakness, wouldn't he? He would see a weakness here, that if we don't have confidence in our leader, what standing does he have on the international stage? By the way, have you noticed I'm wearing my Ukrainian colours for you, especially today?
It's very, very dapper anyway, but it's,
Thank you.
It is Easter Sunday in Ukraine.
It is. It's Easter Sunday, but the church in Russia has not denounced the war. No. I find that extraordinary. It is the official Easter there, and obviously Putin controls the church as well,
which is worrying, isn't it? What do you make of all of this? Dawn?
The Express is always going to be relentlessly positive about Boris Johnson, always has done, really. But Boris has come out fighting and saying, look, Partygate is distraction, I want to get on with the job in hand. And that is the message that Tories who are supporting him are really hammering home at the moment. And what he's saying in this speech, he's going to concentrate on the domestic issues that really matter to the voters. So let's move on from Partygate. This is his saying, not me. And we'll concentrate on, keeping serious offenders behind bars for longer, strengthening the NHS, obviously, again, smashing the people smuggling gangs, and concentrating on the cost of living crisis. Now, I think we all really are feeling the pinch. We know it's going to get worse. So I think the cost of living crisis, for me now, is sort of need to move away from Partygate. I'm getting a little bit, not bored with it. I'm not bored with it because I'm still angry that they set the rules, broke the rules while we were all suffering. I'm really angry about that, and that's what he should apologise for. But, this story is saying, moving on, we need to concentrate now. And talking what David was just talking about, who's there to replace him? Well, former Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt has been put forward, hasn't he?
Well, just to be fair, in the last round, he proved to be very popular amongst Tory MPs. He's a very nice man. I've spent plenty of time with him over the years, if you add up all the interviews all together. I just think in terms of a leader, be a bit of a wet lettuce.
Yeah, he's been out on the sidelines for a long time now, hasn't he? But this would be quite a comeback. My own feeling is that this is just my opinion. I know that a lot of people are very angry with Boris, but let him get on with the job. The most important thing now is his negotiations where the war is concerned, and I'd let him get on with it.
He's quite bullish.
He's got to be, hasn't he? He's either got to be bullish or
he's always been
resigned.
But I quite like that in a leader.
It's the personality, isn't it? The thing is, you could take most of the cabinet and show pictures of them to people on the street, and they wouldn't have a clue who they were, because everybody knows Boris Johnson. And the fact that we all, and I know it annoys some people who are listening and watching, but the fact that we refer to him as Boris it's like it's more familiar, and it's, you know, why don't you call him Johnson? It's like, well, Boris is his name, and it's like, sure. But Labour believe, I think, getting rid of Boris might be easier to win back the northern red wall seats, because they voted for Boris, I think, rather than the policies.
Surely the way he should stay in power and prove that he can govern is by doing something about the cost of living crisis.
Exactly, Anne. Exactly that. That's the one thing I think that would really win him.
And they don't seem to have done that.
No.
They don't seem to be addressing
Can you think of any Prime Minister who's had a more difficult time than the time that he's had? He's had Brexit, which he delivered.
He took on Brexit.
He took on
He
Brexit.
thought that's all he was going to. He was going to be the Brexit Prime Minister.
Who else has had a pandemic?
Yeah.
And then he has a war. But of course, the war, you know, possibly he could turn to his advantage. But who would have the job?
We say that nearly every day, don't we?
Yeah.
Who on earth wants it?
And yet, you see, it doesn't matter what party you're in, they're all scrabbling for the top job, aren't they?
Well, people love power.
Indeed.
As we've seen in Russia.
Yeah.
Look, let's talk Sunday Telegraph, Dawn, and this comments from the Home Secretary about the BBC.
Why is she saying they're xenophobic?
Right, okay, this is Priti Patel, who has accused the BBC of exhibiting an undercurrent of xenophobia when reporting the government's new immigration deal with Rwanda. She's obviously been out in Rwanda, finalising the details. She had BBC with her, and they were basically... And some of the rhetoric coming out about Rwanda is a bit, I sort of know where she's coming from, because it's, you know, I've been to Rwanda, I covered the genocide there, and when it really was a hellhole, and, you know, you never forget, you know, those children that were treated appallingly and orphaned. But it's, you know, up until very recently on a BBC travel website, it was one of the most inviting countries in Africa to go to. Now, just after Priti Patel announced this migration deal, that mysteriously disappeared. And yet the BBC themselves were even saying it's not actually a bad country, and then suddenly it's a hellhole. And
So do you think she's got a point?
I think she has got a point, to be honest with you, because I mean, it's, you know, there are five. According to the World Corruption Index, Seychelles, Mauritius, and Cape Verde are all rated worse for corruption than Rwanda. And yet no one's mentioning that, and I wonder how many BBC executives go on holiday to the Seychelles and Mauritius without a problem.
Probably quite a few. What do you think, David?
Sometimes the BBC can't win, can they? I mean, you know, they're accused of being too right-wing, they're accused of being too left-wing. You know, the BBC can never get it right. So I do feel a certain sympathy for them. I don't say that just because I worked for them for many years, but, you know...
Why does the government constantly want to do down the BBC?
Because
I mean, any time they can
I think the government are convinced that there is a very strong left-wing element within the BBC, and I think they're probably right. I think an awful lot of people that, you know, come out of university with very left-wing beliefs, and the BBC is a wonderful platform for them to express them.
But it is healthy, isn't it, that any, especially a state broadcaster as we have now, should constantly question the government, isn't it?
Of course, yeah, but sometimes...
But they always see that as left-wing.
But sometimes, you know, you're watching the news at 6 or the news at 10, and you hear a government spokesman who gets about 30 seconds, and then you hear an opposition spokesman who gets about a minute to shoot everything down.
They often have more to say if they're in opposition, don't they? They'll say better things. They'll give you better quotes.
One thing the BBC haven't mentioned in all their criticism of Priti Patel's plan, and by the way, I don't think it's the best idea ever, personally, but they never actually mentioned that it was Tony Blair who originally mooted the idea of using Tanzania, this is 2004, to process migrants.
Did he?
BBC never, 2004.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, the BBC never mentioned that one.
Well, we have now.
The home of free speech.
Yeah.
We're not biased at all.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, that.
So, David, with your Ukrainian colours on today, let's turn to the Sunday Times.
Yes, the Sunday Times front page, Ukraine is pleading for weapons. And actually, we discover now that Ukraine has been denied weapons for many years by 3 successive prime ministers. Very interesting, actually, while France and Germany, it turns out, have supplied arms to Russia for years. So Russia has been getting arms from Germany and France, and Ukraine has been begging for help for years, and this has been turned down by successive governments. And you feel, in a way, don't you, with this war, we should have seen it coming, shouldn't we? You know, all the signs were there. You know, you look at Crimea.
That was a fairly big hint, wasn't it?
Was that kind of brushed under the carpet? How did that happen? And I think that after Crimea, I think that Putin thought the same thing was going to happen in Ukraine, and I think that he has got a shock with the reaction that there has been from the West about it. I don't think he saw that coming.
But British troops have been in Ukraine for years, training Ukrainian armed forces on anti-tank systems.
Yeah.
So we have been there. We have been doing things for a long, long time.
I think we have done more than almost anybody. I think we've supplied more arms and, as you say, training as well. So I think that there are other countries, without naming names, that have probably let the side down.
France and Germany?
We've done our bit, and Boris is banging that drum, isn't he?
But he is. But it was 2016 when Boris was Foreign Secretary that we actually turned down the Ukrainian pleas for military hardware. We would send sort of like, you know, non-lethal help, but we wouldn't send military hardware that they were begging for at the time. This is 2 years after Crimea at the time. That was Boris Johnson doing that then.
Yeah.
So we should have seen this coming. And the reason we didn't do it was we didn't want to antagonise Russia. Well,
it might have been the money. It might have been the money.
There's always money somewhere.
I mean, look at these. You know,
We haven't had enough money to buy our own weapons. And
these Javelin anti-tank missiles, which are hugely effective, they're 85 grand a pop.
This is Germany's excuse, isn't it? We can't send all the arms you want from us because we can't afford it and we need them to defend ourselves. Okay.
as you say, they can always find the money if they absolutely need to and want to.
I think the Russian infiltration has been interesting, hasn't it? The fact that the way that they infiltrated this country, the way that so many people depended on Russia for oil and supplies like that. And, you know, that's been very clever. And again, you know, it's easy to be wise after the event, but a lot of this we should have anticipated along the way. We're now paying the price for that.
We're out of time, really. I just want to ask you very briefly, do you think we should now reassess what's going on with China? Because, of course, China's infiltrating Africa. Is it huge?
Well, I think China's interest in Russia, that's very interesting, isn't it? I mean, what are their feelings about Russia? They haven't really said, have they?
They haven't really condemned it, have they? I mean, but then again...
But if China and Russia got together...
There we go, be a problem. Yeah. Look, thank you both. David, Dawn, we shall catch you a little bit later on.